Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jahira from Blackbridge Capital Partners, and today we have Nancy and Abraham here, and we're very excited to talk to you guys. Eric really made the connection at first, and he has said amazing things about you guys, to me at least. So I'm very excited to get to know you guys a little bit more today. So, Eric, if you want, I'll let you start off.
Yeah, of course. So, like I said, thank you guys so much for wanting to be on our podcast. I've been a fan since entering the MFM space and watching the podcast that you guys did with Tyler was very inspiring to hear your story, your own individual stories, coming from a smaller multifamily, just grinding it out, getting your
Yeah.
portfolio in order, working with family, most importantly, which I could definitely relate to. And I just wanted to dive into your personal stories a little bit deeper and get to know you guys on a more personal level. I know that the guests and the audience that we have here, we try to make this an educational space as much as possible. And I know you guys have plenty of wisdom and experiences that you guys like to share with us. But yeah, thank you so much for being here, guys.
We appreciate it, Eric. Thank you so much for having us. We always like to educate. The more you give, right, the more you're going to receive. So absolutely, we truly enjoy doing this, and we appreciate the opportunity to come out here and talk. Absolutely.
It's our pleasure to be here, seriously.
But yeah, I just wanted to give a formal introduction to our group here. A lot of the audience that we have here are operational people. We're all pretty much in the multifamily space. That's one thing that unites us, and just our wanting to grow and to learn more. So I'd like to get an introduction from you guys and anything you'd like to say about yourselves and your backgrounds.
Yeah, so Nancy and Abraham were both nurses. We've been I've been a nurse for 12 years, Abraham almost 11 years. For the last 5 years, we were doing travel nursing. For the last 5 years, we've been doing real estate as well. We started, like you mentioned, with small multifamily and single family. I pretty much married into real estate. I didn't know anything about real estate before Abraham came into my life, and he loves it when I say that, and it's recorded, right? So, but yeah, so he introduced me to real estate. First thing he's like, you have to read, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read it and I was like, oh my God, I don't have any assets. All I have is liabilities. So we put our head down. We decided to, start traveling, save our money, and put it all into real estate. We knew, since the beginning that that's what we wanted to do. And I know that at one point we always talked that 100 doors was the goal, but we didn't know, right, that we could do so much more than that. And back in August 2022, Abraham took me to one of the free multifamily mindset classes. And from there, we went to the 3-day event, and, there was no doubt in my mind that that's what we were meant to do. So here we are a year later.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's us.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell, that's us. Yeah. Yeah. I was
In a
very.
nutshell. No. Oh, go ahead, Abraham, please.
No, go ahead, John. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, what I wanted to say was that really does sound amazing. And it's sometimes you just meet the right people who kind of guide you, right, Nancy? And for you, that was Abraham. He already kind of had his mind on real estate was an avenue that he wanted to take. And I could definitely I feel that on a deep level because that to me is Eric. Eric was from the beginning kind of like we have to figure out a better way for ourselves. We grew up obviously as children of immigrants, and our mindset and our parents always told us like save, 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 but like no one taught you like what to do after. And Eric was, I want to say he's like the brains of everything because he has been pushing me since I've met him to get out of my shell and to dive into other other fields, other networks. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. So I definitely feel you on that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I feel exactly the same way about Abraham, right? If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been here. Maybe eventually I would have, but it was taking me longer. So yeah, I'm super blessed. And yeah, we're both also, first generation Americans here, born. My family still, it's not even something that's, known or talked about. They just don't. So it's amazing that we're here and we've grown so much.
Absolutely. And it's harder. I mean, I don't know if anybody can relate, but if you have to drag your spouse or you have to drag your significant other in the endeavors that you want to do, it just makes it harder. So I think, I truly believe there's no such thing as work-life balance. I like to bring in my life into work, and so and it's always a mixture, and that's what we try to do. We incorporate nursing with real estate, and work becomes life, and life becomes work, and just kind of everything mixes together. And it's not trying to do and compartmentalize is extremely hard to do. But if you if you do it well with your partner, then it just makes it that much easier, you know. Absolutely.
100%. And Abraham, I actually wanted to get into just a quick side note before we dive into the questions that I sent over to you previously.
Yeah.
Who do you owe that to? That sort of like that wanting to aspire to more. Is it your father? Is it your mother? Like, where does that sort of like fire come from? Personal in your personal life.
Absolutely good question. It's hard. It's both my mom and dad. So my mother is she's first American as well, and Mexican parents, and my father is from Mexico, and they met at a church camp, and that's where I came from, right? But I remember helping my father with his ABCs, like fourth grade, and he still has the Mexican Monterrey accent, you know what I mean? And but I remember helping him, and all of his brothers from Monterrey, they came over here, and two of my uncles came over here, and they started working right away. And my father didn't work. I mean, he worked, but his focus was school and education and getting to know the language, and put my mother through nursing school. And then when my mom was nursing, then my pretty much my mother put my father through school, and the rest is history, right? I ended up getting his master's, and the rest is history. But he always taught us the first one in, you might not be the sharpest tool in the box, but nobody's gonna outwork you, kind of thing. And first one in, last one out is the motivation that I got, and I got to see it firsthand, right? In other words, my father would pull a 13, 14-hour shift, come home, study for school, and go from there. And I'm in my 40s, and I'm married into the house that we have right now, right? And I still haven't bought a house because it was just one thing that they instilled in us. Like, in other words, if you don't need a house, purchase an asset, don't purchase a liability. And that was from the very beginning. And that's the way my father was brought up, and that was very fortunate that my brother's the same way, So it was all about real estate from the very beginning. And however, my parents did it differently. They did it the way we did it at the beginning. No leverage. It was all work your ass off, and pay for it cash. And we've there's no wrong way to do it, but that was the way they did it, and they were only able to grow so much. But that's pretty much where I get it from. Yeah. I have to give it both to my mom and dad. Yeah.
Amazing, man. Yeah, that's one thing that appealed to me from your podcast was Tyler, is just doing everything cash and keeping everything within the family. And I
Yeah.
see a lot of benefits from that. And leading me into my first question too, that I guess from your parents sort of taking on that profession into the nurses, is that what sort of influenced you to go there? Or was it just really your personal choice to pursue that career profession for both of you guys?
For me, I don't know. I cannot, I grew up in like different homes, and then I know at some point in our lives, or in my life, we were living with my sister's grandma, and her aunt was a nurse, and her uncle was a nurse. And I think maybe that's where I got it from. Like, nobody ever really told me or anything. And then when I was in high school, I started taking some of the healthcare classes, and I enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked helping other people. And from there, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go become a nurse. I never had any other career in my mind or any other plan B. So it was just like, okay, I'm gonna be a nurse. My sister's aunt and her uncle is, a nurse, and why not? Let me do it. I can help other people doing this.
Yeah, same thing for me. Words school and me just didn't agree at the very beginning, right? So I've never got an A in my life. And so, teaching, I was a huge swim and track, and I wanted to coach. And my father is heavily involved in the school district, and that's his career. So I had a job out of college with no problems, no issues. So I was a teacher at first, and I quickly realized that that's not what I wanted to do. And my mom was a nurse, nurse and respiratory therapist. Back then, you could get it at the same time. And yeah, she told me to come visit her at the hospital, and I was like, it's open 24 hours. You can work as much as you want, and that kind of appealed to me. So went back to school, and we placed the D's with A's and applied to the program, got in, and been blessed. I didn't know I wanted to be a nurse until I was a nurse, pretty much. And now I couldn't see myself doing anything else. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's very admirable to dedicate yourself to serve others. It's not an easy feat because you will come into people that are very upset. They're obviously in a predicament that many people probably don't want to be, and so sometimes you'll bear the grunt, right? They're kind of like upset. They might take it out on you, but you're probably like the 1 ounce of like sweetness that they get, and they're like, their whole day can really change with the care that you guys give. So that's very admirable for both of you. So just
I appreciate that.
It's very rewarding, definitely very rewarding.
Yeah, nobody wants to be in the hospital, and if you can empathize with the patients and just it's very hard. They teach you, they always tell you, right, you leave your problems at the door, but sometimes you can't, right? So I think sometimes the patients kind of give us perspective as well, because we might be having a bad day, but when you go in and you see another person fighting for their life, you realize you're not having a bad day, kind of thing. So when you bring that attitude towards the real estate, they don't accept your LOI. It's not the end of the world. It really gives you perspective as far as what's bad and what's not. So I think that really does help us. Yeah, kind of
definitely
just
has built-in resilience. I can see that
absolutely.
from even just that comment, because that is part of I think multifamily, right? There are going to be points in time where your LOIs won't be accepted, or you're really kind of like a deal, but something like the seller just not budging on the number, and kind of have to like walk away, and you get upset because you kind of start in your head already seeing all the changes that you can make, or thinking of all the ideas that you can really bring into fruition, then someone else's decision kind of has stopped you, and that can be frustrating. But
Absolutely.
talking about decisions, you guys did decide right before COVID to become travel nurses. What led you guys to that decision to want to be travel nurses?
We wanted to do real estate. We wanted to make more money as a staff nurse. We get paid a certain amount of money, and the best way we needed to make more money was both of us, to go take on nursing contracts, and that's what we did. That was our goal. We're gonna work, however much we need to work to save $2,500 a week. So that's gonna be $10,000 a month. That's gonna be $120,000 a year, and all that cash is gonna go to real estate. So that's why we decided to do it.
Yeah, it was very simple. It was very linear. Just it's nothing complicated. That we had a conversation, and well, I mean, we kind of walked the problem backwards, right? In other words, we want $100. This is how much it's going to cost us. So then, how much do we need to save? And this is how much we need to save. Back then we didn't know about syndication. We didn't know that we could partner with other like-minded people and do it the way we're doing it now. But that's just it was very simple. That's one, 4 lines on a piece of paper, and that was it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we touched on this a little bit before, just the most rewarding aspect of the profession. But I'm curious to also hear like what your least rewarding aspect of the profession is, because obviously we know that real estate does take time, and the travel nursing does allow you a little bit more freedom, but still, what restrictions did you guys find that once you made that choice to then do the real estate, how has it been sort of as a juggling act for you guys as a family and individually as well?
Yeah. You want to take it on me, Nancy?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think anybody that says you can't lose money in real estate hasn't bought real estate, right? So you can lose money, right? It's just you're not going to lose as fast as if you were doing another type of investment, in my opinion. So, I think being able to balance work and real estate kind of and traveling, because when you travel as a nurse is more as far as with us, right? We try to systemize it as much as we can. So we ended up buying a travel trailer. That way we didn't have to worry about where we were going to sleep and what kind of bed we were going to get and what kind of utensils we were going to use, and just something that you really wouldn't think of normally when you're at home, right? I mean, you're at home, you go to work and you have all your stuff at home. But with us, we were kind of traveling. So, I told Nancy we're going to move into a trailer, and she's like, I don't want to move into a trailer. So I showed her what kind of trailer I was talking about, and she kind of more leaned into the idea. And yeah, I mean, we did our first contract, and then after that, we ended up with a trailer, and we didn't know how deep we were gonna go, so we ended up buying a little modest trailer, and yeah, we were living. We still have it. I don't think I'll ever sell that thing, but we still have it. So you know, a huge adjustment for us going from a house to a trailer and then learning how to pull it and everything that aspects with it. And then the real estate aspect was just learning how to purchase it and then do it and balancing both getting a contract and then looking for deals and learning how to purchase the properties while doing it. So yeah, it was a steep learning curve, but we did it. I mean, we did it, and Nancy did it, and I'm very proud of her. And she can, now our conversations, our dinner conversations, is more about like LOIs and our systems and what we're doing, and it's no more. We have a lot to talk about now, right? So yeah, I mean,
Not
but
that we didn't have anything to talk before, right?
yeah,
But they're better conversations, I guess.
yeah,
But one of the downsides of doing the travel nursing is that they can just cancel our contract. So
yeah,
that was, that was something that was like a downfall to the travel nursing. We did have, some of our contracts canceled, and that just, threw a rock into our plans. Like, okay, so now we have to adjust, right? Let's find another contract. And it takes a couple of weeks, some at the fastest, right? Like a couple of weeks. And then having to relocate, picking up and move. Okay, we were in California, but now we're gonna go to Arizona, or the last time we were in California and we had to move to West Virginia. So it was like a
Oh,
full,
wow.
yeah. So that was one of the other downfalls from doing the travel nursing. But we knew what we were getting into, so we always, we didn't really like just depending on it, right? We always had a plan B. So every recruiter for every agency, knows us, and they're always, we can just a phone call or a text away, and we're ready to go, kind of thing.
100%. Yeah, no, and I completely respect just the just being able to see the end goal, right? Just making those small incremental sacrifices. Because I could imagine, living in an actual home, either renting it or owning it to, condensing your life down so you can actually just take up and go whenever you need to. So I respect that on both of your fronts.
yeah. It was definitely You definitely really love. You need to be very in love in order to live in that kind of small space. So
So close, like this close all the time,
yeah.
24/7. Like the last 5 years, that's how it's been in that little camper, but we loved it. I ended up loving it, even though I was hesitant at first.
Love it.
Yeah, no, that shift from like having so much space, right, in a home or an apartment to going into a camper can be tough. Um,
Yeah.
Me and Eric, our first year of dating, we went camping, and that's kind of where I was like, oh, this is definitely the guy I want to spend the rest of my life with. He's fun. But would I move into a camper with him now? I don't know. I do not know now. But
Yeah.
just shifting a little bit from what is least rewarding and what was rewarding for you guys. How did you guys started in single family, right? So how was that shift? Because that had to be a big shift as well, going from single family to multifamily.
So I can, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
We, like Nancy had mentioned at the beginning, she kind of married into the business, right? And at the beginning, she didn't want anything to do with it. She just like, look, here's my money, invest it, and just let me be, right? And that's what we're doing. So we're very proud of our little 20 units. We busted our butt for those 20 units, and they cash flowed, right? So then I think we hit the 20 mark and the 21 mark, and then we wanted to go bigger. So we were submitting LOIs for like 60 units, 70 units, 100 units. And then we ran into all the roadblocks that you run into when you're gonna buy that kind of asset. And we quickly realized that we were not prepared to take on something that big. And that kind of just drove me to educate myself more. And I got into MFM, and I fell into MFM, and it was just a random TikTok that I saw with Tyler, and I was like we were somewhere near in Walnut Creek, and we kind of went, and that was it. I mean, that was a transition from single to multifamily, because well, we didn't know what a sponsor was. We didn't know that you needed to have so much, and everything that it entails, we didn't have, right? We didn't have, because quickly we had the net worth, but we didn't have the liquidity, and we didn't have the experience, and we know what's a sponsor and how do I get a sponsor, and all those questions the banks were asking us for. So we needed to go and acquire that education, and that's kind of what led us to go from smaller to bigger, right? Because we wanted to go bigger. And
the goal was always 100 doors,
yeah.
right? We just didn't know how to get there.
Yeah.
And once we were in the 3-day class with MFM, everything that Tyler was saying is like what all makes sense to me. Like, why haven't we been doing this for the last 5 years? Like, we're taking like the long road. It was a no-brainer for me. Like, okay, let's do it. We get to help more residents, right? And then you have your passive investors that you get to help as well.
No, yeah, it is, I can say from the 3-day event that you feel the energy there, and you're just like, wow, okay. What I didn't know before is a whole world that I am just ready to take on. And you guys did have multifamily. You guys had 20 doors, and that's in itself, I think, a great feat to start off with.
Thank you.
So even just being like, my goal is 100, I have 20 right now. How can I get to X, Y, and Z? And it seemed that your phone's probably listening to you, right? Like our phones listen to us. So they were like, here we go. Here's how you're going to get to X, Y, and Z. I got you. And that 3-day event, I feel like it's changed a lot of people's lives, and that's amazing. Now, I do want to ask, what would you guys have done differently, if anything at all?
With regards to just multifamily or our whole real estate, or?
Let's say your whole experience so far, is specifically what acquiring your first multifamily property.
No, I can step out for this one here. Yeah. And Willie knows. So yeah, go for it.
You want me? I thought you were
on our first property, on our first
So what I wish we would have done differently was be more diligent, like our due diligence, right? And not just specifically on the deal, because that's something that we know that we have to do, the due diligence on the deal. So we are not underwriters, but we know how to underwrite. Okay. So we know what to look for in the market. We know, all the KPIs. We know all that. We know everything that we need to do to know whether it's a good property, whether it's a good deal or not. So we should have also done a little bit more due diligence on the whole team and how the team themselves, perform the due diligence on the deals, on the properties. So that's something that we missed. Definitely was a very, very, very big learning experience for the both of us. And now we know, right? Like, okay, we need to be a little bit more diligent on everybody. Make sure that everybody, that you're working with, because you're going to be in a relationship with them for 5-7 years. Make sure that everyone that you're working with, your goals and your values align, and
it's extra work, guys. It's extra work. It's work that we don't want to do. I mean, the last thing we want to do is do a background check on people that are giving you the opportunity to jump on your first deal, right? Like we can all relate, like, nah, that's a little that's
extreme,
right?
Yeah.
But oh man, I mean, I think that golden nugget that shine in your face, and it's your first deal or your second deal, and it's a great deal, and these people are a little iffy, or they're not iffy, and you're never gonna be able to do you're never gonna know 100%. But we really did not do our due diligence on the people that were on this deal, and it really it really bit us in the ass at the beginning, and it still is doing it now.
Yeah,
So
and this is nothing, about the people themselves, right? Like it's just,
we would have done things a lot differently.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. I think it's just as important as doing the due diligence on the property. Who are your sponsors? What, like really start asking the hard questions on your sponsors and finding the hard answers. And it's the reality of the business, right? Not everybody's gonna be upfront about everything, and you really need to do your due diligence on your sponsors.
Yeah, ask questions. Just ask questions, and not just the sponsor, right? Ask other people, and yes, ask for referrals, right, from the sponsor. They will give you the referrals. If you ask me for a referral, I'm going to give you Abraham. Abraham's going to speak wonders of me because he loves me, right? So ask people, outside of the referrals as well, right? Like we have a huge network. If you guys come and ask me about someone, I'm gonna tell you what, my experience is, and that's it. I'm not gonna make up any things. I'm not gonna lie about anything. I'm just gonna tell you what my experience is, and that's it, right? Take it or leave it kind of thing. But yeah, ask a lot of questions.
100%. Just to go a little bit deeper into that, like what kind of questions do you pose to your sponsors now? I know, people mention that they ask them about, how many cycles they've gone through, how many deals they currently have like on the table that they're currently managing. But if there's anything extra that you guys would want to share with us, we'd be grateful for the info.
Yeah, I think me and Nancy agree that we will never do, okay, never is a strong word. We would highly recommend not doing a deal if one of the main key people are there on the ground. They live in the city, right? In other words, for instance, our first deal, none of the big people, the experienced people on the team are where the asset is. Right. And that has proven to be a huge downfall, like a huge downside in doing it. It can be done, yes, and there's people that do it, but we want to have a little bit more tangible. I want to be able to go touch, right? Can you go to the site and look at it and see it and do everything? And to us, that's very important. And we've passed on deals where they're in Washington, or they're in their assets in California and their assets in Ohio, kind of thing. And I just
not having anybody. So that's one really good question to ask. Like, do you have somebody in the team, and not just anybody, not just a student, right? Like somebody who already has the experience, who is one of the GPs or the KPs, right? In the market. Do you have any other properties in the market? And are you experienced in the market? And what about the property management company, right? Are they experienced in the market or in that type of asset, right? Because this is light tech, 100% light tech, Section 8, so it's like different things, right? Well, you have to have a property management company that knows about that, and you want to make sure that somebody in the team knows about that, because if not, you're just relying on the property management company, and you're going to believe whatever the property management company tells you because, well, I don't know anything about light tech, so what they say must be right because they have the experience. Oh my God, I'm rambling. But, it just like snowballs, and then it's like, okay, well, I asked them and they told me, but how do I know that what they're telling me is correct, right? Or that is actually true? And then you show up to the property and it's like chaos.
So not to spend so much time on this question, but what happened to us, and what happened to us was that the asset management that's running our property is very experienced, right? But they're not boots on the ground. They can't go to the property. So the property management company that they had hired was pretty much just lying to us. Like they were telling us one thing and nothing was being done. When Nancy and I just said, what, screw this, we're gonna go, right? So we drove to the property, and it was an absolute disaster. There was like 18 units that were completely trashed and vacant, and the property manager was saying that they were rented. And we had like we had one squatter. We had, delinquent. It was just trashed, and it was just
station of cockroaches, deferred maintenance. Like, I was like heartbroken because these are our residents, right? Like, so we were very upset.
Yeah, we were thinking we were doing okay, and we're basically slumlords at this point, right? And and that's another conversation if you guys want to have that conversation. But yeah, boots on the ground with the key people that you're trusting your investment with is key. And if they don't have it, then you need to be that person, right? Like, like if you got people and the deal is great, well then, I mean, if it's worth it, then you need to be that person. And that's what me and Nancy were for a couple of months, so.
I'm sure your partners are also grateful for that as well, or was it a surprise to them? You know, how did you guys sort of navigate that situation? Because I'm sure they were very grateful for you guys actually taking the initiative to actually go there and finding all this out, And just to expand on the slumlord thing, we'll get to that question later on, Abraham.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, Eric, I didn't care what they thought. I was very disappointed yeah, I kept,
Because at this point we were the students.
yeah.
We were the students.
This is our first deal.
And we were there. We showed up to the property. We're like, okay, we're canceling our contract. We're relocating here. We're not leaving. And it was like nobody else showed up. We're the students and we're turning units and we're, trying to figure out the property management stuff. We're nurses. I'm not a property manager, anyways. But, and nobody showed up. Yes, they were very grateful. And they would tell us every time, we had a text or we had a phone call or something. But, we were students, it would have been great to have somebody from the team like, okay, let's go and be there, right? Because together we could conquer so much, we could do so much more, right? But yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure
it's another story.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, guys, because this is what, this is what I wish people shared more of, just the nitty gritty is not just always, rainbows and sunshine, it can get ugly,
It can. But I still, I'm still, sad on doing this. We did get to a point, or I more than Abraham, like that I was discouraged and like, well, maybe syndication's not the route because, like how are we ever going to finish knowing someone? I still learn things about Abraham, right? And it's been over 5 years. So, but, like you just have to trust in God, pray about it, and He will put the perfect people in your path, and just do your due diligence, ask the questions. And if somebody doesn't want to answer the questions, to me, that's a red flag. Like you don't have 30 minutes to answer my questions, and moving on.
Yeah, and we definitely don't want to fearmonger anything, right? It's just that's what happened to us, and that was our experience. And on our second deal, it was a complete opposite. We kind of knew going in what we wanted, and our Dallas deal, the people that are the main people involved, they live in Dallas. They have property in Dallas. They're there at the property, right? So it makes a huge difference knowing that you have people there, right? So I think that's something that's understated tremendously. Yeah.
No, I'm sure they're forever grateful. I know that it is part of your property and you own it. So your name is attached to it and you want to see it succeed. And unfortunately, it seems that you guys were the only ones that really wanted to see it succeed so badly that you guys did what no one else wanted to do and cancel that contract and go on and be like, we're going to live here now. Now we have to figure it out. So props to you guys because that's a hard in itself to just pick up and be like, I'm just going to be here. They probably owe you guys a lot more than what they gave you. So, but that is going to be a story for another time. I'd love to have you guys back specifically for that because everyone will appreciate, hearing those things. And like Eric said, it is good to hear I don't like to say negative side of syndication, but like the other side, right? The other side that you don't get to see because there are going to be challenges. And if you're in syndication, you have to be resilient. You have to be willing to get knocked down, brush off, and get back up and be like, all right, well, let me figure out a creative way to solve this problem.
Absolutely. We just finished. We went to Ultimate. What was it called?
Ultimate UPW.
Yeah, UPW with Tony Robbins, and one of the main things that I took away from that amazing 4-day, 12-hour a day, thing was, life is happening for you, not to you, right? And what we kind of sit back and Nancy, now if you ask Nancy about what kind of flooring, what kind of baseboards, what fixtures, how to install, what kind of plumbing, and what kind of drywall, what color goes with what color, and how much a square foot and per meter. I mean, she can now tell you that, right? And so Nancy knows what kind of the millware layer on the floor and what you want in the high traffic areas and what you would want to use and stuff that Nancy would have never even.
I learned so much. I would like to say I learned how to lay floor.
Yeah. And as far as my part is, I've never had a chance to really get my hands dirty with 64 units. I've done it with 6 and 7, right? And but with 64, it was a whole other monster, and it kind of just gave me a huge perspective. So in the moment, yeah, it was horrible, but I mean, you take that silver lining, and we learned a lot. So we're very grateful. Not grateful, but we just
Grateful,
yeah.
we're
I mean,
grateful.
just you take the good, but there's always going to be some. I'm sorry, you take the bad, but there's always going to be some good with that bad at the end. There always is, right? And you really have to, like you said, you really have to be resilient because shit's going to happen, and you just have to find creative ways to get over it and find the value. Yeah.
Yeah. So as life and business partners, what would you guys consider, especially after going all through these tribulations, right? All these challenges together. What would you guys consider the strengths and weaknesses that you guys saw working together as a couple, as business, that you really intertwine your life? And I know that our coach once told us that a lot of times the one partner will drop off because it's like, let's just save what we have and you just go full on force and I'll be support you. But you guys are doing it, you're succeeding. So what is that like?
Yeah, that was a very challenging time where, it tested our relationship, not just our business relationship, but, our personal relationship as well. But you know what? I was the one that was like, okay, yeah, Abraham, we can't do this, we can't do this. We need more help, but, nobody's willing to come give us help. Copied. We need to, we need to think about ourselves as well, right? Like we're not making any money. We have a goal, that we're trying to meet. We're losing both of our incomes, right? And we're not getting paid from the syndication, right? So like we're doing all this for free. So I was like, okay, like enough is enough. I love the residents. I love the property. We have our investors to look out for. We have our own money in this property as well, but enough is enough, And Abraham was the complete opposite. He's like, but no, but we said that we were going to be here and we gave our word. And, we have our investors and we have the residents to look out for, like, look at how they're leaving. We can't just leave them. So that was challenging. Like, we clashed there and it was just like, like he wants to keep on, but I'm ready to move on, because we're not getting the help. But at the end of the day, we just, sat, had a conversation and agreed, right? Like, okay, let's meet halfway. Let's tell the team somebody needs to come. We will wait for them to come, be here. We'll just like kind of guide them what we've done, what we're doing, stay at, extra 4 or 5 days, till everything's settled, and then, we move on kind of thing. But
so no deal is worth no deal is worth, jeopardizing what you built a life on, right? So, as far as with your partner. So if you are going to work with your partner, you make it work, right? Like in other words, at that point, I needed to just take a step back and understand that, this is, Nancy was not going to have it. And that was it, right? In other words, I had to kind of take a step back and realize that, I can't do this without her and I'm not going to do it without her. So I mean, so you have to find a way, and sometimes it's not the way you want to go. But to answer your question, you find a way. You find a way to compromise, to make it work, right?
So Abraham's weakness is that, he gives his word and he cannot break his word, right? Like no matter what kind of thing. And my weakness, I have a short fuse kind of thing, right? So, it was like a fight and then another fight and then another fight. And it was like, okay, we both need to take a step back, like let's catch a breather and then, let's regroup and talk about it and, meet halfway. So
Yeah.
100%. And just to bring it back to what Abraham was saying before, that there's very little distinction between work and life, right? It's very hard for some people. I can speak to that myself, Abraham. I definitely connect with you on that. That you can't sometimes, segregate the two. It all sort of intertwines in some way somehow, whether you like it or not. So yeah, I definitely connect with you on that front.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, working with your another is amazing, but at the same time, you really, she doesn't have, I don't have her empathy,
To
and
that level.
to that level, and
Yeah.
and she doesn't have my tenacity kind of thing. Like we're just gonna just push through it kind of thing, and just whatever it costs or whatever it takes, we're gonna get it done, right? We'll deal with the consequences later kind of attitude. And she was right at that point. At that point, she was right, and I was wrong, and I had to realize that. And it took a while for me to realize that. Yeah,
Yeah, it can be hard when someone else, right? Like your partner's like correct. You're like, damn it, why do you have to be right?
yeah,
And then
yeah,
Hard
vice
to
yeah,
follow sometimes.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
So what do you guys, what does multifamily RN Capital see themselves accomplishing in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, an amazing question, because I have like all these visions and all these goals that I want to accomplish. Definitely, we want to keep bringing more nurses, or bring this passive investment opportunities to more nurses. I want more nurses. I don't have a specific number. I just want like every nurse that I need to be investing with us passively, right? And then, so they are making their money work for them. We're impacting the communities, the apartment complexes, making a big difference, like truly making a difference, and being those, owners that actually care about the people that live there. And it's not just about the money, even though I know, it's for the investors, right? But not at the expense of the people who live there. And then, when, we're growing enough to having enough passive income, and we can give it all back. And I think I spoke about this with Wendy earlier in the day, but just give it all back. I want assisted living facilities here in our community. We're from Brownsville, Texas. I don't know if we mentioned that, but it's a border town, 99.9% Hispanic. Everybody speaks Spanish here. So I want assisted living facilities, top of the line, the best facilities that are here in the lower Rio Grande Valley, that are, for our community, and that we have enough money that we can pay the nurses really well. We can pay the techs really well, so they can provide exceptional care, and we don't have to profit from it. So it's just everything for them.
Yeah, the elderly. I mean, we kind of see it here, and I see it a lot in the intensive care. From the nursing homes, and the quality of care that they get is subpar, to say the least. And it all comes down to money, right? So having an assisted living facility to where your grandma, your grandfather, they shouldn't pass away, and they shouldn't suffer at the end of their life, right? And being able to, I think that's one way that we can really impact that community is multifamily is going to impact the community by giving us a function we can offer that. Assisted living to us is what we do every single day, right? In other words, it's not something that it's going to be very hard to do. We know what to do to take care of people, and it was just a real estate part that we need to get a really good grasp on, right? But at the end of the day, a nonprofit, pretty much assisted living facilities is what we want to do, right? So just kind of pour the money back into the facility, and make sure that people are passing away and being taken care of with dignity at their old age. Yeah, that's kind of what we
That's
want to
beautiful. No, that's beautiful. Uh, Obviously, this is the first time I got to really speak to you guys and meet you guys, but my background is in social work.
do.
I've been working in nonprofits for the last 5 years of my life, and I see myself always somewhat working for nonprofits, just because I love giving back, and I love that you guys want to take this avenue of multifamily and really give back to community, especially a community that, like Nancy said, is 99.8, I think you said, like Hispanic, and a lot of Hispanics, they don't really put their families in assisted living homes. They usually carry the burden of caring for them. And even then, sometimes it can be extremely hard.
Yeah.
And so being being not being, but knowing that there's a facility there that values the dignity of the person, values taking care of them, and that the people there are there for the right reasons, I feel like would make a big impact for that community. And that's all we could ever ask for, really. So a
Absolutely.
question that I usually like to ask always, because it's one of my favorite questions, and I'm very excited to ask you guys this, but what has multifamily investing done for your life? What has it changed for you and your families?
Yeah. Well, for me personally, I'll speak to it first. It's made me grow a lot, Yahaira, like a lot. Like not just in the real estate aspect and learning it, because like Abraham said before, I was more like, okay, here's the money, do something, and then just update me, right? So now I can do it. You know, I know how to speak it. I know I understand it. I can have a conversation. I can educate someone about it. So it's made me grown a lot in that aspect, but myself as well. You know, like I become, I don't know, a better person. You know, it's helped me become more disciplined and more focused on what it is that I want and how I'm going to get there. Abraham?
Yeah.
Yours?
For me, it would be stability. I truly enjoy stability, financial stability, and being able to not worry about, like unlike Nancy's upbringing, I had a very stable upbringing. Both parents worked. Upper middle class. Had, had roof over my head, food, clothes, education. It was a completely different upbringing than my wife, and stability has always been something I wanted to provide for my family the way that my family provided for us, right? And I found real estate to really, really give me that stability to where, the money's the money's in the property, and as long as you know how to buy the property, you'll be okay, kind of thing, right? And that to me, that peace of mind, not to take anything away from from our 401ks or from IRAs or from the stock market or from anything else that we want to invest in, right? But I think real estate is a foundation that gives us stability, and that's where I get from it.
It's really, yeah, it has really, like my brother hasn't been working. He had cancer, but because we were doing real estate, like we were financially able to be there for him, okay, like you don't work, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Like we will take care of you, right? Because of real estate. So
That's it. I want to recite a quick verse from you that I actually grabbed from your website, and I wanted to ask you guys really, what does this passage mean to you? And so it says, "Ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open to you." Matthew 7:7.
7-7.
I just want to, a lot of us here are God-fearing people, and we resonate with that in the Word of God very deeply. I'm curious of what this passage means to you guys, individually, as a family, and yeah, as God-fearing people.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that passage really speaks a lot to, like, you can ask God to make you a sandwich, and you can lay out the bread and the potato, the bread and the tomato and the cheese, and you can ask him to make it for you, and it ain't gonna happen, right? He gives you the knowledge, and he will give you the know-how, right? And the mindset to do it. And it's up to you to go ahead and do it. And you need to ask, and you need to be open to receive. And more often than not, the window will be open or the door will be open, right? So that passage to me kind of resonates just extremely, like, it's not me doing it, but it's him guiding me to do it, right? In other words, if I truly want to do this, then it's really, then he's given me the health, and he's given me the knowledge to go and get it done, right? And it's just there's only one thing where God asks you to test him, and it definitely isn't real estate, right? So that passage to me, that's why we put it on there, because it's really, with his guidance, but it's really up to you, right? But you have to ask, and you have to be willing to receive.
And he will answer.
Mhm.
I love that. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. we're cutting down to at the top of the hour. I just want to leave, a couple minutes. I know you guys have plenty of friends here in the audience that would probably like to ask you guys a couple questions. So I do want to open this up to the floor and see if anybody would want to come up and say something to Abraham and Nancy. But I just want to thank you guys for coming on and just being so transparent. I think that with this podcast, it's really what we want to dive deeper into this transparency with people, on not just operators and multifamily, just as humans, right? At the end of the day, we're all doing this for a reason, our own individual reasons. So thank you guys for sharing.
No, you're very absolutely welcome, Eric. We appreciate you asking us to be here. So
thank you so much.
Of course. But yeah, if anybody would like to ask any questions or anything, everybody, Dion Wiggins has said, great call. Thanks for sharing, Abraham and Nancy. And a lot of people are definitely grateful for you sharing your experience. So if you guys, anybody would like to come up and speak, feel free.
Thank you guys. We're always available. We're on social media all the time. So
I was gonna say I definitely stalked your Instagram. Where I was like, oh, let me look them up real quick, really look through everything. And I love that you guys are so you guys are on it, very, very not afraid of the camera. Because I know that that's one of the things that sometimes people will kind of be like, I don't want to be in front of the camera. I don't want to talk in front of the camera and then post it for the whole world to look at me. But you guys are very vulnerable. I love that.
yeah, I don't have a problem being in front of the camera, but Nancy at the beginning was very
yeah.
So that's why you'll see a lot more of Nancy than me, because it's like, no, like you need to get out there, you need to just talk. Just you know what you're doing, you know what you're saying, just talk. Nobody's looking at you. Who cares? So yeah. Yeah.
I still struggle with it, but here I am.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, social media is one of those avenues where I'm like, I know it's a great tool to use. I wish I didn't have to, but I know it's a great tool to use. So I'm with you on that, Nancy, because I grew up, I want to say in my early 20s where when Instagram was everyone's posting absolutely everything and it was just booming. Everybody wanted to be on Instagram. And it was fun then. Now it feels scary.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I saw Wendy unmute. I'm not sure if David, you did that on accident or on purpose, but yeah, feel free to come up and speak.
Thank you. Yes, thanks, Eric. Hi, Nancy, and hi, Abraham.
Hi, Wendy.
Hey, so I got to interview Nancy this morning, and she told me to hold off and wait and ask you a question that I asked her, because she said, you're going to have to ask Abraham his version of it, because it may be a little bit different. But first of all, no, I definitely want to just say that you guys have huge hearts, because really what you guys just shared right now, even though we are in the business of multifamily and real estate, you guys just literally just shared who you guys are as individuals, and that's what it's all about. And I think at the end, we're all in this journey, experiencing the journey, and again, connecting, building relationships. But I love that every time you guys talk, you literally just show who you guys are as just human beings, because just your experience through nursing and now going into real estate, just it just says so much of who you guys are. But the question is, Abraham, was just your journey so far through real estate and multifamily. How has that helped you? How has that helped shape your character into who you are and who you want to become in the future?
That's a very good question. And I truly appreciate you saying what you're saying at the beginning. We try our very best to be as transparent as we can be, right? Because we're all the same. I mean, we're all students, right? And we're all learning, right? But how has it transformed me as far as real estate? I think the empathy that we have to have to do what we do, right? In other words, we have to put ourselves in the other person's shoes, right? And I think it kind of just rolled over automatically when it came to real estate, because there's a lot of things that me and Nancy want to do that other people don't want to do. Like you know, like I don't mind spending a little more on some floor and doing this and doing that, or you know, I just you know, and it kind of just rolled over to the real estate side. Like it was, we don't want to be slumlords. Like we want to have, like, money's great. Don't get me wrong. In other words, I'm not saying that money isn't great, because money, and I think money as a tool, if you use it correctly, it can be an amazing. Well, what's the saying? If you don't think money makes you happy, then you haven't given enough away. Kind of saying, right? Like if you don't think money makes you happy, then you have not given enough of it away. And I just think that, you know, you don't have to sacrifice. You don't have to be slumlords in order to be successful in this business, right? And you just have to know how to buy right. I mean, I'm a huge fan of just writing the check, right? Like, if you can write a check to learn it, then write the check, right? Like me and Nancy were talking about it the other day, right? Like, Wendy, like, it's just, if you know, if MFM, you know what it costs, and you know, we were not in a position to do that. We had allocated that money for something else, and you know, we made a decision to just sacrifice what we were going to do. Well, we said on the podcast, we were going to take some time off, a significant amount of time off, and uh and do that. And instead of taking time off, we just we took a week off and hit the ground running, because we spent the money on the program, right? So but it allowed us to do, now it allowed us to be here speaking to you amazing people, and being able on this journey. And now we have the, you know, the properties, and it just kind of unfolded the way it did, all because we wrote the check, right? So I think, you know, God kind of guided us definitely, that in that area. So I think the empathy from our profession kind of rolled over for me in the real estate aspect, because you know, I mean, I wanna take care of these, you know, we want to take care of these people. I mean, it's just that it's their house, right? So I don't know. It sounds cheesy, right? But you know,
So
we
his EQ, is that how it's called?
EQ?
Is it EQ?
Yeah.
You know, that his EQ grew because
Yeah,
of
yeah, because
multifamily.
you know, yeah, because I'm an intensive care nurse, so I rarely speak to my patients, right? In other words, there.
We nurse very
We
differently,
nurse very
right?
differently
So
in our
sometimes
approach.
things that he does, I'm like, why did you, like, Abraham, you know, like, you have to be nicer. And he's like, what, you know? So, but I think now his EQ grew with multifamily, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Learning to work with other people is a big thing that I've learned
Yeah.
from this.
Right. And it sounds like you guys consciously take those leaps of faith and decided to go all in and invest in not just the business, but like you first decided to invest in yourself. And oftentimes people don't see it that way. Like everything is all up here.
Yeah, absolutely.
our mind is
Yeah.
a powerful tool.
Yeah.
Exactly. My other question is, what areas are you guys investing in? Going more so into the business part of it. Like, are you guys focused in any particular markets right now? And what roles are you guys focusing on right now? Is it still capital raising, or are you guys merging into different areas?
So we really like Dallas, Texas. We have a property there, and I hope that we can get more properties there. We really like Dallas, Texas, and we like the Midwest as well. And we are still doing the investor relations. I'm very, very focused on that. Like, I really want, you know, more healthcare professionals investing their money passively or actively if they want to be active, right? But yeah, that's what we're doing. And Abraham's in school, guys. He's back in school. Yeah, so he is doing real estate part-time because he's working full-time and going to school full-time. So he will be doing real estate part-time, but I get him in this Zoom calls.
Yeah. So the Midwest, yeah. So Midwest and Dallas, we like. Well, I know Texas right now is kind of up in the air because of the insurance, and as far as the property taxes is up in the air, but we still like Dallas. You know, we still like Dallas. Yeah.
That's awesome. Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Wendy, for those questions. Jahaira, I'm not sure if David had some questions too. I know that they have to run, so I just want to get to him first.
Oh, go ahead then. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, hey, nice to meet you guys. Thank you for sharing your story. Appreciate that.
I do.
I love that multifamily has the word family in it. I myself have a little 2-year-old, well, now it's 3-year old son. I'm just curious if you guys have kids, and if you do, or if you don't, we talk about how you can't separate your personal life with your business life, and how do you juggle that and make it work.
Yeah, I love saying this whenever they ask us if we have children. The only child that we have right now is Abraham. He's the only child. We don't have children yet, but we do have 2 dogs. And like I have like a responsibility for my brother right now. So I do, my brother is a big responsibility, and so is my mom. But we just I like to plan my day and plan our things and plan our meetings. And okay, the morning, right now it's because I'm not working. So the mornings are, for me, for us, personal. Well, although Abraham has a different schedule right now, so it's different. He's working night shifts, so he's just go to work at night, then wake up at 3:30 in the afternoon, go to the gym, right? His time, and do his workout, his sauna time, and blah blah blah, and then go to work, and then repeat. And then during the week, well, he's been like doing homework, and so that's his life right now. And me, I just like to block myself. The morning is for me, right? Very important to take care of yourself as well, because then it's so much and so much going on, and it can stress you, and the challenges that comes with it. But I just like to block my time. Very that word. What do you call me? I'm very
You're definitely type A.
Type A, right? So 7 to 8 I do this, 8 to 9 I do this, 10 to and then make sure that I have my meetings exactly. I plan. I have like my whole month planned pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, David, for your question. Yeah, Jahara, do you want to roll us out?
Yeah, so firstly, I wanted to say, Abraham, you said you didn't like school, but you're back in school now. So congratulations on that, because that must have been a decision to make.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
He's such an amazing nurse, and he's so smart and knowledgeable and kind, such a good nurse. Like, he will save your life. He should have been in school 5 years ago, but we had a goal, and we wanted to get our 100 doors. So he kind of put that aside for a little bit, but now it's the time for him to do that. So I'm very proud of him for doing that.
Thank you, baby. Yeah, it was a definitely a midlife crisis kind of thing, right? Because it was just one of those things to where I didn't want to go back to school and have to worry about money, right? And the school that I'm applying to, and the career that I'm going for, it doesn't allow you to work while you're in school. So you sign a contract pretty much saying you don't work. So we needed to be financially stable, and so it was a big responsibility for us. And you know, so Nancy will be the one working, I'll be the one going to school for a good while. So yeah, but we prayed about it, and yeah, I think it'll be the right decision. I think it's the right decision to do it.
It's the right decision for us, ourselves personally, and also for our business. He's going to be around, very wealthy people now, wealthier, because nurses make good money anyway, right? But it's just going to, go full circle.
Yeah.
Amazing. Muchísima suerte.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll be praying for you guys. I'll pray for you for your sanity, because I know school's hard.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Abraham. Thank you to our attendees for always coming back and sharing this time with us. We appreciate you guys as well. And we will definitely be having you guys back.
Yeah. Yeah.
We would love to. I'm down. And I would just coordinate with Abraham's schedule.
Absolutely. No, we appreciate you guys having us on. It's a pleasure meeting everybody. Wendy, very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Abraham. Good to hear your story again, Nancy.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. Have a great night. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yes. And thank you, Eric and Jahira.
No worries.
Love you guys.
So much.